Hey guys, Matt,
Mike.
and we're doing a little podcast slash video cast.
Yes.
We don't know the correct way to say that yet.
We
Probably a
still-
hip term.
We sound like dummies.
But it's a podcast, and then we also put it in video form. So I'm really bad at this in the beginning of most of these. If you're just tuning in, first time you watch or whatever, you can listen to these on any of the outlets that have podcasts, which I don't really know all of them, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then also, obviously, if you're watching it, we have a video. If you're listening to this, watch the video because Mike edits in some cool visuals for all of these that makes it a little interesting as well. So with doing the podcast, we've been doing a lot of the interviews with different people and stuff like that. That's been really fun to do, but we, as typical, schedules are really bad. I'm super flaky and bad at following through with doing interviews and things like that. So we figured we'd kind of add in some ones where Mike and I just talk about different adventures or stuff that's going on or whatever. And we're literally sitting in a hotel room.
If you couldn't tell by our very nice backdrop.
Yeah, this isn't Mike's bedroom. We're in Madison, Wisconsin right now. And we just got our U-Haul truck. So you're going to have to wait for that video, but we're on a little adventure after the Grand National Roadster Show. So topic of this we thought it'd be kind of cool, is kind of a wrap-up video for Grand National Roadster Show. We'll talk about, we're just going to basically BS about the Roadster Show, our thoughts on a bunch of different stuff, the trip in general. We did kind of like the trip video, but it's really just a show video of Mike kind of walking around and showing some of our favorite cars, a little bit of shop tours and stuff, but we figured we'd kind of throw in a little bit of stuff about the trip and also what we thought, which is totally not asked for. And
no one really cares about our opinion.
Nobody cares about our opinion, but we're going to give it to you.
All of it.
All of it. And we talk about America's Most Beautiful Roadster contenders and the winner and whatever.
Because this is Sunday evening.
Yeah, so we just found out
Yes.
the winners. So we figured we'd talk about it and kind of looked at the cars a little more than I normally do because a lot of the cars aren't really always my taste, but took a time to actually look at the cars, each of them individually. So, but yeah, so we're just going to BS about it and give you a little bit of insight into what we saw, what we thought.
And if you like these, us just BSing, please let us know in the comments down below because we can easily do a lot more of these.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually because if we just film us BSing, it's pretty hilarious. So.
I wish we could do it on the drive because it'd be a lot funnier, but the box truck's very noisy.
Very noisy, and it's currently braking, so that's awesome too.
Yes.
Yeah, so
the first part of the trip, we got in, landed, and we literally drove through rush hour traffic to SoCal Speed.
Yep.
For their open house on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and we got there kind of late because of just how, timing of everything. We got in there kind of late. A lot of people had left, and I've never been to SoCal Speed Shop, or at least definitely not into the shop area. So we got to go in there and see some cars. There was some different cars that were staged that were not necessarily their cars, but people had their cars in there. And I'm going to apologize up front for this whole video in advance in this video. I don't always remember owners of cars and names of cars, especially.
Mike will fix all of that in post-production.
Yeah, so I'm just going to describe them in the worst way possible. So
like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of SoCal cars in there that are pretty well known that were in there. So those were neat to see. Some projects they're working on or that were recently finished. But the one car that was in there that I thought was really it was cool seeing together.
Yes.
Two very similar cars. There was the three-window that's the one that I really wanted to see, which has been around for a little while. There's a 32 three-window that's jet black with nice white outline pinstriping in it. Super clean, simple car, but photos I've seen online of that car, it's nice about Grand National is that you can see the cars in person you see on the internet. So sometimes it's disappointing, sometimes it's surprising. So this one was super nice. It's really cool.
Tuck and roll interior was amazing.
Yeah, really. The gauge panel.
Mother of pearl gauge panel.
Yes. But that car was really cool, really low, kind of neat. Kind of made me the Lincoln powered three window I have on the back burner. Makes me kind of want to put fenders on it. So
yes.
really cool. Just sat real low, unchopped. Simple. Just it shows how simple you can. Not simple. The car wasn't simple, but just not a lot done. Just the right amount of things done, and the car was like perfect. So, trying to think of what else.
The Swilco, the two cars that were next to each other, the Swilco Roadster, which contended last year for America's Most Beautiful Roadster, was there, and they were parked next to each other, almost identical color. The pinstriping's a little bit different between the two cars, but almost identical style builds. White tuck and roll interior, super. Both of them look amazing sitting next to each other.
And we would have saw that car last year, but
sore subject.
Yeah, so I booked plane tickets. It's a running joke with a bunch of us, but I totally booked plane tickets for a month.
March.
For March of the show, and then the morning we were supposed to fly out, I'm like, why can't I check in on my phone? And I looked at the dates, and so we missed the Grand National Roadster Show last year because I'm a dummy. So
it's okay.
We didn't get to see that car, and that was a cool one to see because I think a lot of the people that are into like more nostalgic, traditional type builds, I'm going to call that nostalgic because that car is traditional, but it has some, little modern stuff on it. So I'd say I've been using nostalgic a lot more because that's probably a little more correct. But car's, again, awesome car. I think it was pretty much anybody that's into nostalgic type hot rods. It was our pick. So that car.
It's also cool to see he's been driving it a ton. He was driving it all around SoCal for the show this past week. So
and throughout the past year, doing a bunch of events, and that was really cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch up with him. I've never met him, but typical of this show, we're always running around and there for almost no time. So that was cool.
That green tea in the corner,
Peach Porus. I probably pronounced his last name incorrectly, but that tea was done in the 70s
as a gift to him by his son.
Yes,
by Pete and Jake's.
So that car was really cool to see, dark green, seen a ton of photos, never seen it in person. Got to remember we're young.
Sat insanely low.
Yeah, it's really
super low.
And that car, I know with some of my friends that are older than me, that were in the, I guess 70s, 80s era of cars, street rodding and stuff like that. That car was kind of influential, and I think it stood the test of time with the look of it and everything. It's just a freaking timeless car. Sits real low. It's awesome. I love the real dark green. So that was one of those cars I've never seen in person. So it was neat to see it there. And they didn't kick us out. They let us look around. And
out of that 34 Roadster over in the... There was no description of what it was, but a super clean, basically original 34 Roadster. It didn't look like it had a bunch of modifications done to it.
At least they started with, I believe, an old restoration. Yeah. If it was modified, we didn't get to see like under the hood or anything, but
it looked perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, it was real cool.
Sat real nice. So
that was pretty fun. And then we booked a hotel in the Del Taco parking lot that evening.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of is shocked when we see them, or before the show, we talk to people and they're like, "So where are you staying? What hotel?" Because like a lot of these big shows, that's like a thing. Where are you staying? We gotta hang out. And people are asking us or messaging us. I'm like, I don't know.
No clue.
So even when we got to the SoCal thing, we saw Ron and Laura San Giovanni and Carly Moody, and they were all like, "Oh, so where'd you end up staying?" We're like, "Don't know. This is at 10 o'clock at night."
What's funny is we didn't know where they were staying, and then 2 days later, Friday, the day of the show, we walk into breakfast and they're sitting there and they're like, "Oh, hey. What are you guys doing here?
How'd you get this hotel?" I'm like, "I don't know. I booked it at 11 o'clock at night in the Del Taco parking lot."
Thursday morning, we got up early and we headed to Stoker's Hot Rod Factory.
Oh, so good.
Which is super killer to go to. There's a lot of really, really neat cars. That 29, the Tom Mullins? I believe it's the Tom Mullins Roadster. 28, 29 Model A Roadster, flathead powered.
Built in the late 40s, I think?
Yeah, it was raced in 49 in Bonneville. Did 112, I believe. Super killer car. Has all the right stuff.
As found, yes. But preserved California type cars. So it was preserved and very well. I mean, yes. Things like, holy crap, the tonneau covers that were on it and with it and everything in it was just you would almost think you could just get in it and go. But
none of us could sit in it. The steering wheel is literally in the seat cushion. And he's my size, apparently. He was like 6'3", but 190 pounds. And the steering wheel was like in the seat cushion. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. So that Stoker's is one of those places. Like if you haven't been to the Grand National Roadster Show or the LA Roadster Show, like everybody kind of does open houses in that area.
You could just not go to the show. There's open houses like Monday to Saturday.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. So the Stoker's is a really good example. I've admired the cars that they put together and the style of the stuff. It's just like they do like really cool. Most of the cars that I've seen out of there that I've paid attention to was stuff that's like really clean, sits right, really kind of old school looking. But if they do anything that's not like totally period correct, like maybe a 9-inch rear or something, that like the car sits right, that doesn't detract from it.
They contended in 2016 or 15 with like a light blue Roadster that went against the Mulholland Speedster.
Oh, did it? Okay,
yes.
I didn't remember.
I think they came in second.
Okay.
Compared to
I can't remember.
That gentleman we were talking to was telling us that.
Yeah, and he was the part, again, we forget his name, but
Bill Grant.
Yeah, there you go. Super, super great guy. Had no freaking clue who we were, but he saw us admiring some speed equipment on the wall, and I think it's in his part of the shop he shares with Stoker's, and we started talking. Had a freaking awesome conversation with him, and I guess he's like caretaker or part owner in that Roadster, and he was telling us some background of the business and everything.
And he grew up with the guy that built that red Roadster.
Oh yeah,
he was like neighbors with him of some sort. And it was really fun to hear the history of the car, and it's neat that it went from the guy that built it to his close friend, and it's still out there today.
Yeah, and he was kind of like, hey guys, what do you do? We're like trying to explain our stuff, and a guy that has no clue what we do, it's kind of like, really? And then a bunch of people like kind of walked up to us at the at the event while we were talking to him. We're like, oh hey, we like love your show, blah blah blah, and we're like, yeah, we kind of do this thing, like how to
explain how the internet works.
Yeah, without sounding, it still sounds lame. I feel lame every time I talk about it. But anyways, Stoker's had like the one room where they had all the like kick-ass cars, black.
There was 3 32 Roadsters and a 32 3-window.
Oh, God.
And the 32 3-window was built in 59, I believe. And it was in some magazines.
I think the one Roadster might have been an old build as well that was refreshed or something like that. But like they all like sat amazing, had the right they were all 32s. Yeah, I guess you're right.
The 232 Roadsters were like this far off they were awesome. So low. It was wild.
So that was a good example. Like, I mean, I could have been happy just this weekend.
Oh, and we ran into Piero from MadFab there by accident.
Yeah, that was cool. Because
I don't think either of us have ever.
I've never met Piero in person. I've admired his stuff, and we've talked online a lot. And then we got to hang out like
all weekend.
Yeah, pretty much all weekend, which was really cool with him and cast of characters, which was cool. So Stoker's was awesome. We again can't say how much I enjoyed the cars that they had there. So they probably don't listen or watch any of our stuff, but really impressed with that stuff.
It was cool.
It was cool, and I'm nobody, and I build junk, but they. Stuff was as impressive in person as it is online, which is awesome. So then we hightailed it
by the way, it was also pouring on
cold
Thursday.
And pouring.
Yeah, it was like 50 degrees in LA, which is very weird.
Yep.
And it rained all day on Thursday. So the rain passed us at Stoker's, and then we followed it all the way to Palm Springs.
Yeah, it was terrible. There was like people hydroplaning, and the roads, obviously weren't meant for that much. Drainage wasn't meant for that much water, so it was like driving there, an hour and a half or something like that on the highway. It was a little sketchy at some points, but we came back into the rain, and we went to see Dave Martinez, Martinez Industries, and that was cool. We kind of been talking to him for a while. He helped me out with some fabric for the DeLorean Roadster, which is a whole other subject that is still...
He's also been buying parts from us for a very long time.
Yeah, super nice guy. Another one we chat with online all the time. And we wanted to make a point to do a podcast with him So it was like, we need to just do it because he's not like in the Pomona, kind of general area.
We had greater LA area.
Yeah, greater LA area. We had to drive, like I said, hour and a half out to him to check out his spot and hang out with him and do a little podcast, which will be coming out sometime in the future. But it was really cool to go to his shop and hang out and see what he has going on. We were supposed to do also do a podcast with Von Franco. Him and Dave are really good friends. Dave is helping or building a 32.5 window for him right now. Von Franco is, really well known, I guess, in the hot rod community, lowbrow art world, and he has a million stories. If you haven't seen it, Pierre did a really great documentary on the car that ate my brain, #1. So if you're not following Piero, Mad Fabricators, you can find him on YouTube. He's doing the car that ate my brain 2, which Pierre is building a recreation of Tweety Pie, Roth car. And anyways, he did a documentary on Von Franco where he did
the
Lightning Bug.
Lightning Bug,
which was Norm's the cookie tea in the original,
version 1.
Version 1. So he also did a cookie tea version before that. So if you're not confused already, that's it.
Also, head to Tubi. A bunch of Piero's documentaries can be found there.
Or you can rent on Amazon, which yes. I did. He gets like 0.7 cents.
Yeah, he gets paid from both of them, but they can be found on the internet.
Yeah. So Car That Ate My Brain's a really good one. We didn't get to see Von Franco. Unfortunately, he had a puppy that was sick, I believe, and couldn't make it. But he gave us this kick-ass, it's in the truck, but insert photo here, this kick-ass pen and ink, one of his famous pen and inks of, Rat Fink with IronTrap rules. It's like literally a one-off, which is amazing and was probably the coolest, well, maybe not the coolest thing we got in this trip, but might actually be the coolest thing. But anyways, really cool. Thank you. I don't know. What did you think of Dave's
It was cool to meet Dave just because we've been friends. This whole trip was basically just meeting people we've been friends with on the internet for a number of years. Actually seeing them, hanging out with them. It was cool to talk with Dave. He's a very talented fabricator, upholstery, a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So it's neat just to talk with him, see his workspace, and just hang out for a little bit. It's just
he works in a dungeon. If you're not
insanely dark.
We think he might be a vampire. We're not sure, but he keeps the shop so dark. I'm quite positive he might be a vampire.
It's okay. We still love you, Dave.
Yeah, but it's moody in there.
Yeah, it's a perfect mood lighting. That's for sure.
It's crazy, but so he had a bunch of a couple projects in there. He does some really. I mean, his top work in his interior stuff. He does.
He just finished a Zephyr, correct?
Yeah, I think it was actually at Grand National.
Okay, I'll steal some photos from Dave's Instagram.
I believe
show you the Zephyr he just finished.
I think it was the Burgundy convertible that was with a padded top that was at.
With all the Zephyrs.
With all the Zephyrs, which we'll get into, that was there. But yeah, so Dave does really cool stuff. So we got to chat with him and BS. It was like probably the longest podcast one.
It was like an hour 30.
And we could have gone for 4 hours.
But I'm sure if and when we do one with Von Franco, that'll be. There's a lot of stories there.
Yeah, I'm like so stoked to do one with him because he's been doing a lot longer than us, but he was there, man. He was with kind of bringing Roth back out and all that stuff, and traveling with Roth and knowing Norm and just like so much stuff. So it'll be really cool to hear his background and all of that. So. Hopefully next time we're in California or LA area, we can get together with him.
Yes.
But yeah, so we did Dave's shop, got to see some of his projects in his workspace, which was cool.
We went and hung out with Piero and his cast of characters for the evening.
Harrison, and we hung out with those guys, and I should probably reiterate that like a lot of these people that we were trying to meet that we've known on the internet for a while, it's super cool. Like a lot of these people, Dave is included, as soon as you show up and you start talking to them, because we're all into the same stuff, same kind of people, joking, whatever. It's like you're instantly we've known each other forever. Yeah. You're these dudes all been hanging out forever. We came into their shop and just sat down and like telling stories and laughing and just hanging out. And it's like, it's weird because like I think that's the universal thing with car guys in the world is the garage hangs where there's always like there's always chairs. Like my shop, I got a bunch of chairs sitting around the stove or in the shop, and the shop hang is like a universal thing. So that's, you know, the project car and the hot rod Harrison's T is super cool.
That was a long hang too. We were there from like 7 till almost 1 in the morning. We were there pretty long.
And stories going and everything. It was really cool. So, but like it was when I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is like the most universal car guy thing. I don't care what kind of cars you're into, motorcycle, anything. It's like there's always that like you get together in one of your buddy's shops and you sit down and just shoot the breeze and tell stories and laugh. And it's like you're talking about cars. It's like we could have sat in the house. It was really cold.
Yeah, very, very cold.
Yeah, it was quite cold, and we could have easily sat in the house and BS there. But it's like it all happens in the shop.
Yep.
So that was the thing. And I like sat down. I'm like, dude, this could be my shop. This could be anybody's shop in the world. We're all doing that. And I just love it. It was kind of a cool thing. But.
And then Friday morning, Friday is the first day of Grand National, but it doesn't start till 12. Mm-hmm. So we went to Kennedy Brothers Bomb Factory, their killer shop, to check that out. We've never been there, so obviously we wanted to check it out. Our good friends Mike and Chad have been hanging out there for like a week with those guys from Oklahoma.
Oh, the Okie Boys.
Yeah,
it's like become it's always been the cool spot. Since I've gotten into stuff, you've known about the Bomb Factory, but I feel like it's a little more accessible these days. They've been kind of doing some more public open houses, for lack of a better term. I don't know if public's the right word, but doing like a swap meet there, which is kind of cool. So I'm sure that did really well for them because people flowing through all week and all weekend. But yeah, their shop is like, I guess it's second generation. Their father built that property or bought that property, and so there's just cool stuff. They've been building cars there for a long time, so it's like some of these shops you walk into, like it feels like it's a pole barn with a grill hung on the wall. But this was like,
and that shop feels a lot more our style because in the back there's just pieces of bodies and rusty frames, and some of the shops that you tour, it's like a very nice clean floor. Everything's nice and organized, and it's just very plain and simple. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we prefer chaos. And there's just grills on
mess.
There's grills on the wall and just cool. Every corner is just filled with something cool to look at. Cabinets everywhere, cool hot rods. So it was cool to it felt more like home.
Yeah, it had the feel, which I expected because those guys are really well known, built a lot of really cool cars and been in it for forever. And the stuff they've been putting out forever. It's like, and they always find the coolest stuff. Again, being multiple generations and doing this for a while, they're always digging amazing stuff out. I'm always like, holy crap, they're bringing like trailer loads of really good stuff in. So it was cool to see just the stuff for sale. Obviously, we had just luggage, so we didn't buy anything. I was actually trying to be good because we also had a trip planned to buy a lot more crap. So, but that was cool. Ran into a bunch of people there and got to view their shop, which was a treat. They had that 32.5 window that was sitting there.
Oh, is their dad's car, correct? Or
I don't know and again, I apologize. I should know the history, but I've seen photos of it a million times, like online. But basically, a 32.5 window, old hot rod. I don't know the background on it. Somebody will correct us, I'm sure. But that car was really cool to look at because again, it's a real deal survivor car, and it's just kind of like as it was.
Yep.
It was really neat to see. So, yeah, we did that in the morning.
And then went right to the show.
Went right to the show. So, Grand National was kind of, it's pretty crazy if you've never been. Just the size of it, and it's expensive. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yes.
It's California.
Pro tip, O'Reilly sponsors the event. If you want to save a few bucks, you can buy your ticket at O'Reilly's, if you didn't know that.
We didn't know that either. Ronnie Roadster told us.
Why do you have to...
I don't want to pretend like I knew that. Ronnie Roadster, while we were sitting at breakfast, he's like, oh, by the way, as they were leaving, he's like, you want to save a couple bucks? go to O'Reilly's and buy your...
And we passed like 7 of them in our running around.
Yeah, so we did it, and thanks, Ron. That was awesome. Saved a couple bucks.
It's like $30 normally at the gate, and it was $18 for parking. So it's it's expensive to get in, but the Pomona Fairplex cannot be a cheap venue to rent. So I understand the cost.
Yeah, so that was cool that we got that little discount. So going into the show, it's like if you park at the right, depending where you park. So if you park at the right lot, you kind of go like under the tunnel. And I actually kind of love that. Like I've been to a bunch of events at Pomona, and like that's like one of my fond memories is you walk through the tunnel and you kind of come out, and all of a sudden you're in like car heaven. It's like you walk out and boom, there's just cars and stuff going on and whatever, and it's really neat. So you walk right in, and then there's obviously cars and vendors and food and all that stuff. But I pretty much always make a beeline right to, there's like the little like,
it's like a little Mexican town.
Yeah, like an old time Mexico town or Spanish town, or somebody's gonna probably yell at us like I don't know what it is, the politically correct term for it, but it is a something old looking and cool, almost like a prop from a movie. But a lot of the cool cars kind of park in there. We went on Friday. It's the drive-in, so to speak, which is like the car show outside. Isn't nearly as big on Fridays. Unfortunately, our trip was cut short, so Saturday, like even looking on the internet, there's like way more cars.
Yes, there's a ton.
So Mike and I have decided at events in the past couple of years, we don't hang out.
We're too noticeable as a pair.
Yeah, the tall guy and the short guy.
And the dude carrying around the camera with the fuzzy thing on top. So it's a dead ringer.
Yeah, so especially this show, because we only had one day to do the show. Mike really we wanted to film and get footage, so Mike wanted to get that done. And I, for once in my life, wanted to be a freaking normal person that had no responsibilities. I just wanted to walk around by myself and just look at cars. And like I walk shows, like we took a bunch of our friends in 2020 to Grand National. Super fun. It was great taking them on a trip. But like whenever you're walking with someone else, even if I'm like walking and talking or hanging out, like I don't get to like take a car in. And like for me, a lot of times when I get home from big shows, I like get bummed because I'm like looking at my photos. I'm like, man, I didn't really like. I snapped the photo. It's like going to like, I don't know, going to some famous like monument or something.
Or an art museum.
Art museum. You don't even look at. You're like snapping and you walk past. It's like you want to like take it in. You want to look at like what makes the car cool. So like I went to Suede Palace right away. Mike kind of went the other way.
All the other buildings, basically.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm taking my time. I want to look at like the cool cars. I want to see the builders that we like really, that you admire. You get to see the cars up close, all that stuff. So.
And the Suede Palace is filled with basically everything we love. It's majority of its traditional hot rods and customs.
And I guess it's kind of like its own car show because it's like run by separate people or person, and it's pretty much like I don't know what you want to call it. It's just like a lot more like there's high-end cars that go in there for sure, but a lot of it's more like the traditional hot rod and
the common folk.
Yeah, but there's like really good stuff in there too. But there's a lot more stuff that's like the style that we like. Both there's kind of like cars with age to them. There's survivor cars. There's there's Chop Mercs in there and stuff like that have the right look, which is all over the place. But like in one building, if I was going to say you had 1 hour to go to Grand National Roadster Show, where would you go? I go to Suede Palace and building number 6, I guess it is, where the America's Most Beautiful and all those cars. 4? Great. Don't listen to me. But Suede Palace is like awesome. I mean, I don't know. Did you have a car in there that stuck out?
I'm trying to think. I walked Suede Palace last. So I was kind of overloaded by the time I walked in there. Trying to think, what's the 5-window white with the black flames? I'm trying to remember.
32 5-window Lee Pratt.
I've seen a million photos of that car. It was great to look at it in person.
Again, if I booked the right plane tickets.
We would have seen it last year.
Yeah, it was kind of like debuted last year.
That was really cool.
That car's.
That 32 4-door sedan that is now a 2-door, it's called the Little Coffin, has like these huge back windows.
Oh, was that the one EJ?
EJ had very little part to do with it, I believe. He didn't build the whole car, I don't believe.
Oh, okay.
But he had some involvement, and he was on the board. But it's cool to see. So they took a 4-door, turned it into a Tudor, and put like these massive windows in the side of it. It was just something you don't really see. That was cool to look at. I'm trying to think what else. I was so burnt out by the time I walked through there.
I'll back you up. All right.
Take the lead.
Well, there was actually a lot of really cool stuff.
There was a lot of really cool stuff.
So, obviously, number one, like you said, the Lee Pratt 5-window. It was, that thing is as close to perfect for a 32 5-window as it can get. It's just like spot on. I mean, pretty much everything he builds is really good. So, not surprising, but the car is just like so awesome. I think your stuff that guys like him do start a lot of trends. Back to the pinstripe, the thin white pinstriping. I think you're going to see a lot more of that on cars done by average guys because those cars kind of together and also coming out, but especially being on America's Most Beautiful last year, like I think you're going to start seeing more people. Not that it's a new thing; it's been done before, but like some of this stuff starts trends. So the flames that are kind of on that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see more of that kind of stuff. The pinstriping that's like outlined, I think you're going to kind of see the panel.
The Watson style.
Yeah, kind of like panel striped or whatever outlined. It's like, so his car was awesome. Next to it was a car I've looked at a ton, and again, I forget the name of the car, but it's a 33-4 3-window with a caddy in it, I believe. I think it's channeled a little bit, chopped. It's got a really good look to it and just a really nice clean car. It's been out for quite a while, but that's one I've looked at photos on the internet a bunch because it just sits right, looks right. So that was really cool. There was a 3940 Merc there that was a blue, I think it was almost like a Washington blue. Maybe I'm wrong, but the shade of blue. But,
yeah.
That was chopped and done kind of like Matranga style, window frames and all that stuff. I think I'm going to say their names wrong, but the twins, Menge, I don't know how to pronounce. Menge. Sorry to anybody we say their names wrong. I only read this stuff on the internet, so I don't know how it's
your
pronounced.
Instagram handles are hard to pronounce sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So that one was cool. I think they saw them post up that they built it. I watched their stuff a lot because they're always chopping Mercuries and doing 3-window conversions and stuff. So that car was cool. Just to kind of look at it and how it was done and just the flow of everything. It was cool to see their window frames. So those guys do an interesting thing from what I've kind of noticed on their social media so the Matranga, like you do like a curved, it's like a hard top look, and they do like the curved window frames that was done, back in the day when Barris did it. So they take like, I think it's stainless box tubing, I believe, and then they heat and bend it, and then I think they cut to create like a C-channel. But they do it out of stainless, which is pretty cool. And I guess they have these like wood bucks or blanks that they bend it around or however they do it. But it was cool to see that up in person, like close, so you can kind of look at it. I've seen it in video and photo, so it was interesting to just look at that and study it. So that was cool.
I looked at my phone and I took one photo.
I know what it is. Yeah.
There's a killer 36 Roadster. That's right.
That was.
This is what was. I'll put a photo. There's a piece of cardboard with his name just written on it. There's like oil stains on it, just laid on the floor. But it has a killer look. The top's like perfect.
I think.
But anyway, it looked killer. Had a great stance.
That thing was awesome. I got stuck at that car for quite a while staring at it.
The 41. I never really noticed, I guess, but like Matt is looking for a set of 41 bumpers. He has one, looking for a second.
I got a second one.
Oh, that's right. To put on a car,
yep.
And I've like have not stopped seeing 41 bumpers on stuff now. Just sticks out like a sore thumb. So that was a cool car. I stood and looked at that for a while.
Yep.
That was neat. What else?
Yeah, that car was awesome. It's just like, again, simple, sits right.
I think it had air ride in the rear because it was pretty low.
Yeah, if it didn't. But anyways, it was awesome. That car was really good. Trying trying to think throughout there. I'm just going from memory. Let me look at my phone because I did take some photos in there.
While he's looking, I want to say Suede Palace is amazing, but the way the Grand National is kind of set up, you almost need to walk through every building because there's like cars in random buildings that are, there's no like order basically in the other buildings. So there's some neat stuff hidden among, like, there'll be a building of mostly lowriders and there's a hot rod in there. So walk through all the buildings. Don't get scared.
There was a 32.3 window. I forgot. See, I had to look at my photos. Remember that car?
Yes.
32.3 window, channeled, I think unchopped. Or maybe it's chopped. It's chopped just a little bit, not a lot. Sorry. But channeled, I mean, it looks like it was done a long time ago. It's got like aluminum or stainless firewall polished on it. Flathead with a high rise. Just a cool looking car. Like, that was cool. Like, again, looks like it was done a while ago. It's not perfect. It's just a neat old hot rod. So that was neat. There was a, I guess it's a 28.9 Roadster.
That's for sale.
Yeah, it is for sale. It's a 2829 Roadster that's all smoothed out. You almost, I mean, looking at it, you'd almost think it was an East Coast car, like a New England car or whatever, because it's channeled real hard. It's all smoothed out and like leaded up, and it's got kind of wacky high headlights, and
it was built in the 60s, I believe.
I think so. It's got this like lift off, fold back, like, you know, lift off top on it, and it was just like, it's just a neat old car done in that kind of like 60s
show rod
style. So it was cool for me building the Sweetheart Roadster right now in kind of that style. This is maybe a little less, I don't want to say smooth. It was just how they were done. Maybe proportionally, it's a little awkward, but that's how those cars were. So that car was really cool to see. I was just kind of like looking over the rope at just how they did different stuff. A little crude. I mean, this is realistic for what these were. Like, the deck lid was just a skin with, I think, angle iron around it on the deck lid. There was no inner structure, and then there was like this crude latch setup that was kind of like I did the Sweetheart Roadster. It was like a hood latch that they welded together and whatever, but they had theirs actually backwards. It was the female receiver part was in the deck lid, and then it had just like a dick sticking up out of the bottom.
The only thing I don't like about the Suede Palace is the one row they have 3 cars wide, so it ends up being like there's groups of 9 cars. So there's one car in the middle that you physically can like just look at from a distance. It's the only thing I don't like, because sometimes there's neat cars in the middle and you're just like, well, I can only see it from about 15 feet away.
Yeah, and I mean, this whole show in general, I totally get why they do it, but the ropes suck.
Yeah,
it's like really a pain in the ass to even get photos. But I get it. Like, you can't be watching your car all the time. It's the whole weekend. There's lots of idiots that'll be like putting their sweaty mitts on their cars.
Camera bags banging into them. Is there anything else from in there?
There was a Washington Blue 34 Roadster with a mild chop, if you will, and just sat really right. But the color, but it was like, again, like an old restoration. Somebody just did a real mild kind of hot rodding too. It was awesome. Like, I don't know, I guess as I get older, like, even though I'm building the Sweetheart Roadster, as I get older, it was like some of the simple cars, I'm like, it's really cool.
Just because there's not 5,000 hours of metalwork into them.
Yeah, that does seem kind of cool. It just sits right. But anyways, that was cool. There was, Hothead Lou, using social media names because I don't know people's last names if I don't know. He has 32 Roadster that has, I think it's a blown Olds, or no, it's a small block. Green 32 Roadster means business. Slicks on the back. He actually does drag race it. And then next to it, there was a 32 Roadster that had these kick-ass magnesium wheels on it.
I love the gold pinstriping on that car.
Yeah, there was like gold pinstriping on the hood. And then the best part was, look at I took a photo of this, the moon tank. And the moon tank on the front of the grill says, eat me. I was like, that's cool. But really cool pinstriping. So there was a ton of cars in there that were neat, but that was a few of my favorites. There was some good stuff outside of there.
There was some good stuff outside all over, actually.
I think some of the Stoker cars might have been out there. I don't remember.
There's stuff everywhere.
But there was a really cool, I think it was 34. Again, 34 Roadster with a cool chopped roof with like the curtains on it. There was kind of a neat look. I've noticed that like that's kind of come into style now. A lot of people are doing the hard chopped convertibles, Roadsters with the side curtains that like wrap around, and you saw that a lot in the old photos, but people weren't doing that, and now all of a sudden it's kind of seems to be in vogue a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of dudes with the side curtains on all the time.
Yeah, it looks cool. It definitely is neat. It's just kind of interesting to see the trends.
Yeah, there was a bunch of neat cars outside. There was did you see that 38 Lincoln Zephyr? It was green. It was for sale.
No. Oh, yes. I briefly.
I don't know if it's considered a two-door or a coupe.
Oh, that was a weird one. It was a 41.
No, it was a 38.
Oh, was it 30? Maybe I didn't see.
But it was a neat car. It was cool to see. It was fairly stock, not a lot done to it. One car I did look at a bunch outside. There was a 30, I think it's a 37 Chevy convertible that had like every accessory on it and all kinds of doodads inside. Like
it was a bomb.
It was a bomb. You like never see Chevy Roadster. I guess they're considered convertibles. They had a fixed windshield. But it was just cool to look at. Obviously, we're into early Fords, but sometimes it's neat to look at some of those we'll call them off-brand, cars that you don't see as often.
I like when we say that to Chevy. Like anyone that's not into Fords is like a Chevy or Olds guy.
It's an
like,
off-brand.
Off-brand, whatever.
This year at Grand National, there's always like a feature room. It's in building 9, I believe it is. It's a huge room, and the last time we were there in 20... Was it Model A's or race? I think it was the drag cars that year.
Yes.
The year before was Model A's. I forget what it was last year. This year was like pro touring cars, which I felt was kind of weird for the Grand National Roadster Show because that stuff's not that old.
That's what was weird to me is like I mean, I'm sure they have the reason. It was cool if you're into that stuff. It was odd to me because they were doing a room on stuff that's still like, I don't know. It's like
I feel like it's a
current trend.
Last 15 years that became popular, but a majority of it was 60s muscle cars with giant blown or turbocharged.
Was there like
engines.
Street Freak stuff in there too?
A little bit.
Yeah. So
I walked through the room a little bit and was just, it's not super my thing, and the room was super packed.
To be honest, when I walked in, I literally walked in. It was like it was like a guy walking into the wrong bar in the wrong neighborhood. You're like, oh, okay, this isn't my crowd. Turned around, I literally walked out like, okay.
I grabbed a few shots in there. I usually make video stuff that interests me, so sometimes
so suck it if you like that. If you
super
like
high quality work, it was amazing stuff, but that's not what our channel's about, so I didn't really film a lot of it.
So suck it.
But it changes every year. The first 2 years that I went with Matt were amazing. It's a Model A display. It's like the best Model A's ever. And then drag racing, and there was some historic early drag cars, and then Tommy Ivo's 4-engine dragster and just wild stuff. This year, not as interesting, but hopefully next year it'll be better.
Yeah.
So
get your shit together, Grand National.
Try harder next year.
That sucked. All the people that had cars and are like, you guys are terrible.
We hate this.
Yeah, these guys are terrible. So the one year I went was like land speed. It was a land speed room. It was years before I went with you. But one year I think I went on my own. Like I had nobody who wanted to go, so I just literally flew out there and went on my own for like a few days or a week. But there was the land speed room, and that was pretty close second for me to the Model A room because it was like, from early Dry Lakes cars all the way up to, current Bonneville racing, record holders. So I bought I think the SCTA had a 3-book set that they were selling that was like the history of land speed racing. So I was able to buy those there, which is really cool. But anyways,
and then
get your shit together, Grand National. Have something cool next year.
And then the next
for $30.
Yeah, come on, guys. The next 4 buildings are kind of, there's no rhyme or reason, I don't believe. The one building has the Al Slonecker Contendees, which is a closed car class. So that was in one building with a bunch of random stuff. Then there was, I think it was building 5 or 6. One of the ones right next to the main hall. They had a 12-car display of Lincoln Zephyrs.
Yeah, I think that's the building that, I might be wrong, but I think that is the building that's normally like customs. So there's usually like a lot of the like old school and wild customs are in there. Winfield's normally in there. Yeah, so that building was cool. So
there was some amazing Zephyrs in there.
Yeah, that's
I think there was only two or three of like the real wild fiberglass cars. Mm-hmm. The rest were legit, real
old school.
Yeah. Almost all of them were chopped, super flowy back, slammed. It was hard to film because I was just staring at all of them, going, I could really see myself in a Zephyr one day.
Yeah, that was cool. And they had like I think there was a Survivor there. It was like one family owned or something like that.
Oh, it was the one that's one of one.
No, I think there was another one that was like a Survivor type car, and I think it was like the same family since new or something that was there. It was against the wall. Might have been red. Yeah, so there was a bunch of cool ones. There was, chopped and modified original ones. I guess a bunch of guys that are in those Zephyrs kind of got together and they put a bunch of their cars there. So don't know any of them. Follow some of those guys and their cars online. So it was cool to see like all of those in one place. Those cars are super rare. Very, very cool to see. And we skipped over, I think in that room. No, was that in that room?
What's that?
The Pete and Jake's?
No, that was actually in with the Slonecker. I was literally just going to say that after we were done. In the Slonecker room, because I believe Pete and Jake's had a car. The California Kid Express was competing, and right in front of it was the California Kid and is it the Jake's Coupe? Yeah, Jake's Coupe, the yellow coupe, were literally facing each other on display. That was cool. It was really cool to see.
California Kid was one that I wanted to see. That was really cool to see in person. Again, we're younger, so to speak. So a lot of my friends that are a bit older than me, they were going to shows when that car was making its rounds. Both of those cars, I should say. But for me, the California Kid is the one that like I'm really drawn to. The flames, it's just badass. I think those two cars were two of the cars that really made 30. I was talking to somebody at the show, like those cars kind of like probably made 33, 34s like really skyrocket in price because of the notoriety that they got, and they were done just right. But yeah, seeing a California Kid was like, that was pretty cool to just look at it. Of course, there was like a crowd of people around it the whole show.
I want to talk about this green 2829 Roadster. It's super killer, channeled. Matt had a cool detail that I missed when looking at it that they did that you can embellish on.
There was just where the tack strip would go on the back of a Roadster, which is normally wood. They kind of smoothed that area out, and there was a cool piece of chrome that they kind of put around the back of that I thought was really neat. Now we're putting it out there that if I copy it on the Sweetheart Roadster, I totally bit that guy's idea. But really cool way, because they didn't have a top on it, obviously, and instead of just putting the wood there on a smoothed out kind of like 50s or 60s style, hot rod, it was neat. They just had this little piece of chrome that wrapped around and looked really nice. Had bucket seats in it, like that were pretty cool. So it's kind of neat to see more cars, newer builds that are starting to pop up that are that 50s and 60s style. I think so many people, and myself included, are fascinated with the like Dry Lakes era 40s, style hot rods that like people kind of are like even with Sweetheart Roadster, I get a lot of like negative comments about that car or whatever about it, but like that was a huge, Metal Flake and Candy and show rods was like a huge part of the history of.
It's like the next. It's like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's like the next thing that came after, like the 50s, early 50s builds. It was like the show rods were the next big thing.
Yeah, so that's cool to start seeing some of those. The one thing I don't like at Grand National, and there was one other car actually met two young guys that were coming out of the car that were, I guess, helped build the car. But there was like that car is a good example. There's this 32.5 window. Some guys from Texas. I forget. I apologize. I don't remember the shop name. But I was looking at the car, kind of eyeing it up, and they came out, recognized me, and said hello, and we talked a little bit. But like their car was a good example, and that one's a good example. Like at Grand National, sometimes I don't know. It's like some of these guys get like the short end of the stick, like bitching car like that, or this 32.5 window. They're like they get stuck in some fucking weird spot in a building that's like all these not the same cars, and like they don't get the, you know, a lot of people probably don't see that car. They walk right past it because they don't see it in the corner. That Roadster, like I almost missed it. I was like walking around and I'm like, oh, what's that green thing back there? And you're like, oh, holy crap, this is cooler than half the stuff I saw around. So
got to walk the whole building.
I hate that. I wish they would like
make it more organized.
Yeah,
it's understandable.
I felt bad. I'd be so bummed if I like had a car, and because I don't think these guys really know what they're getting for spaces necessarily. So like if I got a car, you know, I did all this work and wanted to put a car out, and you like debut it at Grand National, and you put in this shit spot. Like I'd be so.
With
bummed.
all the lowriders are insanely cool, but like totally not the same crowd for
a little tiny like 60 style Roadster is like a little out of place and gets lost.
They both have metal flake.
Or candy, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing. I mean, who the fuck am I? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's one thing as a show goer that I think is a little difficult. It would be nice if they organized it a little better, because there's, you know, some of those cars could have probably be fit somewhere else. It would have been a lot better. I don't know. So I don't know how it gets run, but that's me bitching about something that doesn't.
Well, we've been bullshitting for almost an hour, and we haven't even talked about America's Most Beautiful Roadster.
Okay, fine. So
we should probably. Is there any last?
Oh yeah, real quick. Couple things we actually missed some pretty important stuff.
Well, we'll get to the main building.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I think that went fine. Yep.
So the main building is where America's Most Beautiful Roadsters are, smack dab in the center. But Matt actually almost missed some of the stuff that we're more interested in. At one end, there was four pretty important, quote-unquote, traditional cars that were at the other end. The Uncertainty, which has been recently found.
It's been blowing up the internet. It's almost...
In case you didn't know, I mean, it's been everywhere, so we all know.
I kind of hate the internet sometimes for that. Like, it like ruins stuff, because like...
Even YouTube, there's like 30 videos about Galpin finding the car and buying it, not by Galpin. Just people randomly talking about it.
I think it's just like people trying to get...
I understand. It's just...
They're trying to get buzz on the internet, or get like the viral video or the whatever. So it's turned into like almost like news channels trying to get the scoop of the story so they get the video out. It's like kind of annoying because...
But it was super cool to see as found, unrestored. The thing is absolutely wild. It doesn't make any sense.
Fucking windshield is like...
Touching the distributor.
It's like touching the on the Hillborn. It's like touching it. That's wild. So
Hillborn injected nailhead with a Cirillo magneto, and the water outlets in the front to the radiator are like half-inch hose, garden hose. It's so like everything you look at is insane on that car, and
yeah, it's crazy. It's not my like. If I had $1 million, I wouldn't own that car. But like, it's so cool to see it. It's in the right hands because those guys have a lot of those cars. They're restoring. I'm assuming it's probably going to get restored.
Yes, I believe that's the plan.
That's the rumor. But like that thing was just like, that's like a crazy piece of history.
Yeah, it's I believe it was probably the first like T cab that was done so over the top.
What has been that's pretty much it.
It's definitely in the right hands. It was cool to see it as found. Mm-hmm. It'd be neat to see it in like how it was back in the day. Especially, I like it the most when it was red. Not a big fan of that gold color.
I don't know if I ever paid attention that much to notice all the color.
It was, and some of the magazines that below the blown up pictures they had, it was red at some point. It's a much better. I'm not a big fan of yellow.
It was like gold.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it's just because it was aged, but I like the red better. And then next to it was the coupe, the Cop
Shop Coupe.
That's right.
Which is super cool.
Another Pete and Jake's car, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that. And again, some of that stuff's in an era that I just haven't gotten into, so I don't. It's like it's a well-known car. I can't speak on it because I don't know a lot about the history, but I believe that is another.
Yeah.
Pete and Jake's.
I think it was built in the 90s, from what I understand. It was a cool car, neat to look at.
Really, really, really cool.
Yes.
To step back one step, I like Uncertainty is a good example. I like, and I wish more people would do this. You're starting to notice it. People are finding these like famous customs and hot rods, or even not so famous, but like real old Survivor, or so to speak, and they're taking them to events and displaying them as found before restoring them. So like a lot of what we do, or what I do, is some of these cars I kind of keep the perfectly shitty look, and we'll work around and leave the car kind of aged and restore it underneath, which is kind of cool. But a lot of guys are also restoring them completely to, much like the Cookie Tea, pretty much every really famous car, that's what happens. Because really it's probably right, but like that car, if it's going to be restored, they showed it as is. I wish more people would do that. There's a lot of cars that like you see them get pulled out and then they go right into a restoration.
The Cookie Tea.
Yeah, that would have been cool, even though it was wild.
And the Golden Sahara too. Did they show that as found?
No, I don't think so. I think both those cars kind of went right into restoration type mode. So it would be neat. Again, I'm nobody. It doesn't fucking matter. But like, I think, man, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs on this.
It's okay. I'll bleep them out.
Sorry, guys. I'm like a little grumpy today. But it would be cool to see more people do that. I know a lot of people are doing it. I wish it would become like kind of like people are doing the Amber bare metal the year before you contend. I wish it was the thing. You needed to take the car as found and show it a few times just so we could see it, because I find it really fascinating to see them as they were found.
And then right next to the Cop Shop Coupe, I can't say that.
Cop Shop Coupe.
Yeah, was two amazing Roadster pickups. One is the Tubular T, and I forget what the other one's called.
I don't know the names.
I just do the Tubular T because it's a T on a tube chassis that was built in like the late 50s, early 60s. Both amazing Roadster pickups. We stood there and looked at them for Survivors, yes.
And so one's the Tubular T's red, and then the other one, which I'm forgetting the name of, the John Roadster pickup, John Lane. Those two were, I guess, we were actually hanging out with Pierre, and Pierre's, I want to say this right now, he has got more in his head about knowledge and geekiness on like old, like historic hot rods than, like, it makes me feel like a sane person, because he's got so much knowledge. So he was just like rattling off like all this information about these, like, just top of his head. But these were basically, I guess both of these were kind of found like really close like time frames to each other. Both Roadster pickups, both old show cars. I think they both showed within like a year of each other.
I believe that's what Pierre was saying.
At the Oakland Roadster Show or something like that. So really, really wild. It was cool to see them as found. The blue Roadster pickup actually has real, again, Pierre or maybe it was Harrison. One of those guys pointed out to us.
It was
or Des. Yeah, pointed out to us.
Des probably knew it because Pierre probably told it to him when they walked by it the first time.
Like 17 times.
Yeah.
Anyways, it has real fine, small, and if you look real close on like the tailgate or roll pan,
it's like smaller than a fingernail.
But it's Von Dutch.
Dude, I couldn't read it. It was so tiny.
No, it was Von Dutch. It's the real deal shit. So that instantly makes it like way more valuable and cool. But so these two pickups were really cool. Again, like, 50s show cars or early 60s.
A lot of chrome everything.
What was really cool on the blue one, I was standing there looking at it, and I'm like, the headers come out from the hood, and they're into like, they took like a tubular muffler, if you will.
Like a Smitty.
Yeah. No, I think Smitties are normal mufflers. It's like a tubular, like a glass pack, if you will, or something like that. Anyways, they welded that into the headers, into the exhaust. It then goes like up and over, and the wheel kind of. And I'm I'm looking at it, and it dawned on me, this thing's like, what, 6 foot long or something?
No, they're like 8. I mean, from the engine to the end of the bed is probably like 8 feet. They're long.
Yeah, it might be. One piece. It's all welded, and it's chromed. So we're like discussing, imagine the freaking chrome tank that you needed to like dunk this 8-foot piece of exhaust, and it probably cost like $17.
Back then, yes.
But it was insane. So I was like, that is really cool. I couldn't afford to have something chromed like that, but it was cool to see that exhaust and how they built the muffler was all welded into it as one piece. And yeah, so if that muffler ever goes bad,
just let it go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So
I'm trying to think of any other.
Both those cars were really cool. There was the one that I saw. I don't know if it has an actual like nickname, but there was 26-7. Again, another one I saw in photos. Always wanted to check it out. I think it was found in recent history and put back on the road. It's a 26-7 T Roadster that is on a 32 chassis with 32 fenders.
So well.
Yeah, fenders and running board. And we were discussing it. It's all and a 32 Roadster dash. It's like set way under the cowl. It looks like to me like a guy had found in a junkyard or something, or had a 32 Ford, maybe Roadster, and it got hit or damaged, and they just took the body off, took this 26-7T, and like, all right, this is where the wheel needs to go. Flop it underneath. Left the 32 gas tank. I've never seen really like done that way, but it like works really well.
Dude, I filmed it a bunch and I didn't take notice of it, and we walked up to he's like, it's on 32 frame, and I was like, oh shit, you're right, it is. It all works so well. You don't, unless you look at it close enough, it looks so good.
Yeah, so that's like the best. I mean, the 32 grill was like moved down with a little like a valance in the front, if you will.
Flathead V8.
Yeah, just super, super cool. Like, just, it makes me want to just go find those pieces and make my own version of that, because it looks so good. But like, everything was just right on it. Again, seen pictures on the internet. We don't live on the West Coast, so I didn't get to see it till now. That was in the American Hot Rod Foundation booth, which was really cool to see. So that one was probably one of the ones that was like, for me to see in person, I saw on the internet, was one of the highest, because I wanted to like look at how they did it. I guess they cut off the bottom of the turtle deck to make room for the gas tank.
And the turtle deck's also molded into the body.
Oh yeah, it is.
They made it all one piece.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So South City, they had their, I think it's a 40 or 41 pickup that like won.
Wasn't it in bare metal? Not that long. I think it was bare metal last year. Maybe. I saw photos of.
Like, they had like America's Most Beautiful truck show this year, and it won that. It won like Good Guys Truck of the Year, I think, and all kinds of crap. I don't follow awards, but it won a bunch of stuff. Badass truck. Like all these subtle details done to it. Freaking, I don't know if you can make a better 4041 pickup.
Such a good color too.
So good. So it's just like awesome. So again, this is all like real high end stuff that I could never see or have. I could never build.
There's a bunch of killer bare metal cars that were in progress.
Oh my god.
There was a Roadster, 32 Roadster, I believe, with an Arden, a blown Arden in it.
Yeah, it had like a crazy like it's almost like an old Indy car or something. It had like a molded like headrest or whatever.
The gas tank fill in it.
Yeah, so had a lot of really good metal work on it.
Hot Rods by Troy had a really killer Roadster.
36 Roadster. There's rumors that's going to be competing maybe next year for America's Most Beautiful. There was, I'm going to forget the guy's name. There was that track Roadster that was there. That was in bare metal. That was right by America's Most Beautiful Cars. Dan Webb.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Metal shaper. I follow him online. He doesn't post a ton, but like when he does post, it's like incredible stuff. That car was mind-blowing for the work that was done to it.
Matt walks over. He's like, this is competing? I was like, no. It's just near all of them.
It was so perfect in bare metal.
Same with the Hot Rods by Troy. That thing was like... insane.
That stuff's just ridiculous. So it was cool to see all that. There's just a bunch of cars in there. I'm sure I'm forgetting.
That building's actually filled with the majority of the big vendors
big builders.
Big builders. So there's that building from front to back is filled with
it's like
great stuff.
It's like all the biggest, best
shops in California.
Anywhere. Hot rod shops around the world, or country. Pretty much the who's who in the builders. Like the big boys are all, and the Brizzio's got a space, which we laughed at, but Brizzio always has like stacked with like kick-ass cars, but they're like all these other people have, no disrespect, it's
TV
awesome. screens and a backdrop and all kinds of stuff and little areas, and they have like chairs for a bunch of old guys to sit and hang out. What?
Super simple banner.
Little tiny banner that says Brizzio, and then he gets stacked with kick-ass cars, and they're just like, yeah, this is all we need.
Yeah, we don't need to try hard.
We don't have to try hard. You guys funny. Know who we are. So, but yeah, so that was really cool. So,
the important stuff that we're here to actually talk about.
Yeah, now that we're an hour and a half in.
Yes. So we have 9 contenders for America's Most Beautiful Roadster.
This was tough for me to actually stand and look at these like cars, because most of them are not my taste. I'm not saying they're not done well. So I lose interest really quick. So I'm like, so no disrespect to the builders, just not, some of that stuff's just, I lose interest because I'm into.
They're not hardly traditional, very high end, not over the top, but like everything's chrome, everything's painted insanely nice. Interior's perfect.
The cars are cool. I don't know. Sometimes it's just not my style. It's like looking at a Camaro. Like I can look at it and go, it's a really nice car. It just doesn't do anything for me. So we'll have to look at the photos. And
I forced him to look at all of them so we could do this.
Yeah.
So we're going to start in the one corner and just kind of, I took photos of all the cars and the placards so we could talk about them because we have terrible memory. So the first one up is the
Holyoke
32 Roadster pickup.
This was cool. We were looking at this thing, and this was one. So this one, to be completely honest, when we first walk up, actually no, when I saw photos online that Grand National put up, like who the contenders were when we were like flying in. This one, I initially when I saw the photos, I was like,
The Grand National photographers,
not very good.
For when they roll the cars in front of a banner and take photos.
At least their social media person.
They were like cropped, like positioned weird. The lighting wasn't very good. This car looks way better in person.
Yeah, so it looked disproportionate. I don't know why, but it looked, maybe it was a lens. I don't know, but it just looked.
Sometimes with these Roadster pickups with a little bit of with a 32 cab, the bed ends up sitting at a weird spot and everything looks weird because it's not where it's supposed to be. But in person, it looked perfect.
Yeah, it looked really good. The truck, again, this is one that initially, I'm glad I stopped and looked at it closely, because like if I was just walking the show and we weren't thinking we were going to shoot a little thing talking about this stuff, like I probably just walked right by it, not even looked at it, because it's beautiful, but I didn't take in the details. So, and
this is actually one of our viewers' father-in-law's car.
Yeah,
he came over and talked to us for like 20 minutes. Super neat build. It's got an H&H blown flathead in it.
That's cool.
It is a Brookville Roadster pickup body, which is neat. And the shop that built it did some neat stuff with the bed to fill it in with the body, because the back of a 32, like, I guess, I don't know if all the pickup bodies are like this, but the Roadster pickup body kind of curves in, and usually the boxes of the truck bed are flat. Mm-hmm. So when you put them together, you get like this weird triangle-shaped void, and some people don't do anything with them. But they like molded it in nicely. The top rail that goes against the cab, they made something so it all flowed and worked really well together. There wasn't like awkward gaps that you often get with Roadster pickups like this.
Yeah, it had a cool, and the root beer color that it had, for lack of a better term, was really cool. Car was just like, again, it was nicely done.
It's not over stylized that we get with some of these.
The pinstripe that was, I guess Mike noticed that, or they said was silver leaf. It looked a little odd to me, so I think that was probably the first thing that was off-putting. It, my taste, I didn't love that, but like once I really took the building, it was really nice. So that thing was cool. I mean, it was probably in my top 3, maybe.
Yeah. Shit ton of chrome.
Yeah,
everything on the engine was chrome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oil pan had a aftermarket aluminum
finned. I think H&H makes
polished, very the engine bay was very overwhelming. There was a lot of chrome.
So that thing was cool.
So the next car was like a super basic. It was called the Tradition 32 Ford Roadster. Insanely basic, I would say. It wasn't very overwhelming, kind of underwhelming in my opinion for an amber contender. That's just my opinion. It was a very nice car, but very simple. Black 32 Roadster, red grill insert. When I saw the car initially and filmed it, they didn't have the doors open. They had the trunk lid closed. So it kind of just, to me, wasn't very inviting to look at because it was just sitting there. The hood wasn't open, nothing.
It's like a super timeless roadster.
Yes.
I mean, they nailed the look. I mean, it's great. I guess just looking at it, I wasn't like
blown away.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And our opinions don't matter, so just remember that.
So if you own these cars and you decide that you want to yell at us because we're mean people, like, I'm actually being quite as nice as I can be.
Yes.
Like, this car is actually awesome. Like, if I saw this car just like at a show, I'd be like, holy shit, this is amazing. But like, did you ever see with the hood open?
It was open, but I don't. Let me see what it says.
I don't remember.
Oh, it's got a small block Chevy. That's right.
Yeah, I think the car was like, it was really clean, really well done. Another tough thing at Grand National with like the ropes and you're far away. Like and again, they don't give a shit because the judges look at it like way up close. But like, just us standing back, us peons, it was like, oh, that's a really cool 32 Roadster, but it looks like every other a lot of other 32 Roadsters running around, but like awesome timeless car. I mean, it's nicer than anything I own. So it's a rad car. And again, like if we were just picking cars that I just loved, like that's one that I would drive and own. But for Grand National, America's Most Beautiful, it wasn't my pick at least. So
the next one is this, the only non-Ford contender. Every year I think there's like one that's not a Ford.
And it's some Chevy, some non-off-brand stuff has won in recent years.
There was a Chevy Phaeton that won when we were there, I think.
2019 or 2020, I can't remember.
Shook the whole world up.
Yeah,
but this is a 32 Chevy Roadster that is pretty wild. It was done by like a design company, or Ambrosia Concepts, and this car was insanely over the top.
Cool.
Had a rear mounted radiator.
Yep.
And it had
lift off hard. I'm guessing it has to be because it's Roadster. Lift off like hard top, which was really, I mean, looking at it, I can imagine if they made that from scratch, it was a difficult thing to make. Had a little bit of awkward rear quarter windows that were like,
it just made the opening seem very strange, in my opinion.
It didn't look as finished as I would like. The top was cool, but that was a little weird for me. Again, we have to say this every time. Our opinions don't matter. We don't build anything like this. So.
We're not this good.
Yeah, we're just talking about. But it was like
the display on this one was cool, like the rack.
The wheels killed it. I'm sorry, I can't. The wheels fucking ruined that car. I'm sorry. Like awesome car. If they chose better wheels, I think the car would have flowed a lot better. Again, my opinion doesn't matter. But Matt, looking at that car, those wheels just look not right. It's like super kind of like tiny, like retro kind of looking with the color they picked and the chrome. And then there's just like these kind of
ability.
It looks like a Hot Wheels car. Like, it's cool as a Hot Wheels car, but I think they could have got...
The underside of this car was like all chrome everything.
Yeah.
Super shiny underneath.
Outrageous.
The display was kind of cool in this one because it was on top of all mirrors, which a few of them were, but this was like a full mirror so you could see the underside. And like the stand that the car was on is kind of cool. It's like made from tubing that's of chrome, of course.
Gotta be.
So it just makes it a neat display to see.
I actually thought, like, honestly, because when we look at these cars, and then everybody probably does this, it goes to the show or watches online, you look at the car, you're like, oh, that one's my pick. But you look at a couple of the cars, you're like, that car might win. So like that one, I kind of thought might have been one that could have won, just because it was like, looked from far away, so well done, had a lot of unique stuff done to it. It was very like, wow. and it was different, you know, that was good being a Chevy and, you know, all that. So I mean, even though I was talking shit a little bit on the wheels, I actually kind of thought that car might have won.
So the next one is a 32 Roadster with a wild engine in it, blown big block with like zoomy headers. This is...
Was it big block or was it Hemi?
It's a big block Chevy, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
This is probably my least favorite car.
Coolest, most ridiculous engine, but I think it was like, and people do this all the time. I do stuff too, but like I feel like the engine, they built a car around the engine.
Yes.
So the engine was outrageous. Probably sounds so ridiculous. It's like a cackle car engine in America's Most Beautiful Roadster. So it was.
That's the only thing I really liked on the car. It was just not my style.
Oh, wasn't this the one that had like a 201 style quick change under it with this like...
No, that wasn't this one.
I thought it was that one.
No, that was the one that had the coyote in it. We'll get to that one.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, I think this might have a 301 or something.
Yeah, just the wheels, they're very, I don't know. I just didn't like the car. I don't want to be super mean.
But I think this is another example of like that car with a change of wheels and tires could be like bitchin'. I think if you put some like good, better wheels on it with like some cheater slicks, and maybe some like pie cutters, like in the front, like I think with the different change of wheels and tires, that car, again, it doesn't matter. The person who built this obviously builds really nice stuff and owns, you know, it's awesome. But like for me, with that crazy engine, I think if it had more like race inspired kind of wheel setup, it would have made the car, because like that's a big thing when I look at it. I'm like, but yeah, so it's awesome. It probably sounds rad when it runs and it's kick-ass, but that was that.
So this is my favorite. This is
like this. To me, this is the equivalent of every year. It's like the Swilco car. There's like the car that everybody picks, and then it doesn't win.
Everyone in our...
Yeah, that's in our taste.
Yes. So this one's called the Throwback. It's a 1934 Ford Roadster, and it just checks every single box in my book.
You don't see... I want to say this. You don't actually... I can't remember, but maybe I'm wrong. 33 Ford Roadsters.
Yes, very rarely.
I hardly ever see them in America's Most Beautiful, and it was cool to see that.
You don't really see 35 6s either. It's usually 32 Roadsters.
A little bit, but yeah, you're right.
The nicest black paint, chromed out engine, reverse chrome wheels. I was trying to remember what else. The interior's tasteful. Oh, it's got had a LaSalle trans. Column shift LaSalle trans.
Or already winning. 40 dash.
And the LaSalle trans was converted to torque tube. Still had a torque tube rear. 40 dash, 40 wheel. Had 4.2 intake, APA with a mag. It looked so great.
That's the car that if you're like any of the America's Most Beautiful cars, you win the lottery, you get to pick one of these, it would be that one for me.
Yeah,
that looked like the car that like, and I think it even said on the sign, like that's the car that like you could see this person driving this car forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
Like it said it will be driven or something like that. So I think that was the most timeless car.
Very classy.
Yep.
The black paint was so perfect. It was wild.
Yeah, I think that car, if it was 1952 or it's 50 years from now, that car will still it'll still look cool. It'll hold up the test of time.
Yes.
Some of the other cars, like a lot of crazy show cars, they won't. You look at them, you're like, it's wild, but so great job. Love that car.
Good job.
Can't say that I thought it was going to win because
we always do this. We go, that's my pick, but it's not going to win.
It was really good, but I just don't think it was crazy enough to win. So that's unfortunately.
So the next one is called the Coyote 32 Coyote Roadster. This is the one that has, so it's got a wild built Ford 5.0 Coyote motor with a 201 Banjo quick change rear.
Oh yeah, this thing was crazy. Yeah, that was funny. It had like this crazy engine on it. We looked underneath it. It's like It had a 201 or maybe it was a Winners or whatever style quick change on it. I'm sure more than likely it had 9-inch axles and stuff in it, but like did not look like it would hold up to the power.
No, not a very beefy rear probably. It had a really cool grill insert that was like the bars were stepped back.
Oh yeah.
Not something you see every day, so that was kind of cool.
And the moon tank kind of like nestled into like how that
insanely hard dropped axle.
Oh yeah.
It had like a 6-inch drop. It was wild.
Paint was ridiculous on it.
And candy, a lot of louvers.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think the car, like, I don't know. It actually was. What's the wheels look like? I don't remember.
I didn't take a side shot. I messed up. They're I think they're similar to the other. They're like a billet.
Yeah.
Nothing five. I think they're 5-spoke. I believe. If not, I'll correct myself.
It was. The paint was probably one of the things that struck me on that car. It looked really good. Yeah, I mean, it was really nice. Just wasn't my pick.
So the next one is called the Roadster. This is a 32 Brookville body that was designed by Chip Foose. Is a 2-door
Never heard of him.
Phaeton body. Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. This car actually wins the best display because their display was out of control.
Yeah,
there was just shit everywhere. There was like they had overturned cans of paint with paint spilling out, nuts and bolts, and it was like
there was a sandwich that had like greasy handprints on it. It was like sitting on the ground. It was like
it was over the top display. It was actually quite funny. I don't remember much about this car. You looked at it.
They got the shape and design on those Brookville. What do they call them? The
Phaeton Roadster.
Yeah, but they have like a really cool. The proportions are right. I mean, of course, with Chip doing it, it's like
yeah. The only thing I don't like about this car is the wire wheels.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate them. So that car was cool. It looks. I mean, it sat pretty nice. It looked right. It was awesome. I mean, it's a cool car. I don't. Yeah. Again, it's like for me, I'm obviously a big. I complain about wheels and tires a lot, but those ones aren't terrible.
Yeah.
They're not like billet 5 spokes.
So the next one is we'll go to the pink 32 Roadster.
It's like, buzzing on the internet and at the show, people were like, because it's pink and has flames. And
yes. It's a neat build. You don't see pink Roadsters, obviously, but it was built for a young lady.
Yeah, I don't know the story. Somebody was telling the story, but I don't remember. But it's a young gal owns it, and I'm sure there's more to the story. But it was cool.
A lot of neat. The black and pink, obviously, they work well together, so it didn't really clash. The front rear hairpins or wishbones looked like they were made from billet. They had speed holes drilled in them and machined, so there was some nice accents.
Did I have the fake Kinmonts on it? Like, I don't say fake in a bad way. I don't know.
They're like the disc brakes with Kinemont covers. Yeah,
those are cool.
The front. The frame's all painted pink. It's just a neat car. Has an automatic with a 400 cubic inch Chevy engine in it.
The paint, like obviously it's a pink car. Everybody's gonna like it.
It is for a girl, so it's understandable.
Anybody can like pink.
Yeah,
I like pink.
Okay, sorry, didn't mean to offend you.
Jeez, no, it was a cool car, well balanced. I mean, I did again, not my taste, but it was well done. It looked really cool. I'd be bitching to that. She's got to be stoked.
Yeah,
like a young gal with a bitchin' 32 Roadster, like that's gotta be awesome. And to get to compete, like that's like a huge. I mean, it's a big deal for that's like a lifelong dream for a lot of people. And she already did it. She's like check.
She's done. Like under 25. I think she's like 22 or less.
Holy moly!
Yeah, pretty young.
Anyways,
and then the final car, which is actually from our hometown.
Yeah, that's not me. I don't have anything nice.
So it's owned by Beth Myers. Her husband is Ross Myers. He owns Three Dog Garage.
Which has like the best
of everything.
Yeah, they have pretty much the best. Well, when it comes to hot rods, they have like the best old, hot rod collection. But
Yes.
they are actually based out of my hometown. Their collection is only like across, I don't know,
5 blocks.
5 blocks from my shop. It's really cool, and they do open houses every now and then. But they're like always having, work with some of the best shops in the world. Brizio did this one.
And it is wild. So there's some stats here on their build sheet. So I'll just go down the body modifications. The grill was narrowed 2 inches. The cowl was narrowed 1.5 inches. So it's wild to buy a brand new Brookville body and you just cut it to shit. The cowl vent was narrowed 1 inch. The doors were shortened 2 inches. The rear quarters were lengthened 2 inches. The rear wheel wells were raised 4.
Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest looking parts to the when you first see it with the wheel well molded around.
Yeah, it made it look like the body was sectioned, but they actually didn't section the body.
Oh, it wasn't.
This is why the body is channeled 6 inches.
Hell yeah, channel cars.
So basically,
channel car won America's Most Beautiful Roadster. East Coast style won America's Most Beautiful Roadster.
We were talking.
Suck it, LA. Suck it, West Coast. One-ish, motherfucker.
So we were talking about it, like, dude, that's wild that they sectioned and like took all the dimensions, but they just raised the wheel well up 4 inches to make it look like it was sectioned, I believe. Then the windshield was chopped 3 inches.
Yeah, it was just I studied that thing for a while because it was like one of those cars that...
Super great flames.
Yeah, but it's one of those cars you walk up to it and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And like, again, these big shows, you walk up to the car, you look at it and you're like, crazy, okay. And you take a photo, walk away. I like tried to study some of these cars. This one, it was like you're standing there and you're just like looking at all the modifications. Holy crap. Like thinking of what an original 32 body would look like. Man, this thing's like, there's a lot of subtle stuff that all works nicely. Not that we're surprised Brizio built it, so like you expect ridiculous work.
And it's funny, it was sitting next to the other Phaeton Roadster by Brookville. So it's funny, you just look between the two of them and they look so insanely different. And
sat right, What were the wheels on that one?
They're like center lock.
Oh yeah, those are cool. Yeah, it's got like a Hallobrand. They're probably not real Hallobrands, but they got Hallobrand look.
They're probably CNC made by Brizio.
There's okay ones you can get, but I don't know. But the car, but it's like, even though it's like a modern build and it's crazy, wild, it's still got like a kind of timeless, cool look. And it's
very similar to the California Kid. The flames are very similar to what was on that car.
I think Brizio just builds, a lot of their cars are like similar but not similar, but it's like a lot of them are timeless. And I think that car is a good example. Like, it's so wild, but it was timeless. Like it's gonna always look cool and looks like just a hot rod.
Yeah.
So it's got flames, check, it's black, check, it's a ton of modifications, check.
We were very surprised. Matt kind of said it would probably win, but the last couple of years, some of the winners were kind of...
That's why I thought that brown car might win, because they had like a way crazier display.
That display was super basic. It was just on white carpet. Yeah. There was like nothing extra.
Like, here you go. This is a bitchin' car.
Yeah. I did find it funny that it was Ross's wife on the board and not Ross. Just because Ross is so crazy into this. So it'd be cool to see his wife driving it around town. That'd be great.
I hope I see it driving. That'd be awesome.
But it was a cool car to look at.
What did it have for a drivetrain?
427 Roush engine, I believe.
Oh, I think a lot of their stuff has Roush engines.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah,
again, work with the best people to create the best cars.
Fuel injection.
Awesome.
The flames were done by Art Himsel.
Yeah. Okay, check.
Pinstripes by Eric Reyes.
Let's just work with all the badasses.
I'll stop name dropping. We're done for that for right now. But that car won. It's amazing.
I think this is, I haven't checked the interwebs yet, but this one, at least for me, I wasn't like, boo.
Yeah, there's usually when the winners announced, there's a lot of backlash on the internet. People are like, what? That car sucks.
He got robbed.
Blah, 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 blah. So I don't think it's offensive whatsoever. I think that car's super cool.
Freaking awesome. And East Coast car won. Channel car won.
Do they get
Do they
get the big trophy for a year?
I don't think so. I think their name just goes on it.
That'd be cool. Can we go to Three Dog and just look at the trophy real close? Just touch it.
They wouldn't let you.
Yeah, I know.
But it was, yeah, that was pretty. One of the first years ever I've picked the winner, and it was right. So
he did say that one will probably win.
Yep. So that was cool. Yeah, I mean.
And then we finished Friday hanging out with Piero and his buddies again, and we got to meet Lucky.
Yeah, that was cool. Lucky, I've been to Lucky shop a handful of times, Lucky Burton, and another well-known SoCal guy. And he didn't remember meeting me. I told him, I was like, I was at a couple of your shop parties, but you probably don't remember because I just was some dude. But it was cool to hang out with all those guys because we got Mexican food, which is like our favorite thing. We ate Mexican almost every night.
Yeah, it's our go-to.
But they took us to this kick-ass Mexican spot with a cool old sign, and we had a shit ton of fun just talking, laughing, and stuff like that. So thank you to anybody that said hello, stopped me. Oh, there's a ton of people stopped me, at least. You were in incognito.
I had my glasses on. No one's ever seen me with glasses. They were like, that kind of looks like, that can't be Mike.
They almost didn't notice me because I was wearing like clean jeans and a sweatshirt that didn't have holes. And yeah, it was funny. But thank you to anybody who stopped me, said hello, said they liked the channel, whatever. Just BS'd for a while. It was cool again to stop and just like BS with people. Be
a normal functioning person.
Yeah, it was really cool. I really, really enjoyed. That's like something I wanted to do.
And then we ruined all that good feeling by flying somewhere and doing a bunch of normal work.
Yeah, I did, make up for the like relaxation.
Yeah, the 2 days of relaxing.
But super cool. That was kind of the quick, not so quick, but quick wrap up of what we thought of the show. It was a good time. I know Sunday it poured down rain, so that made it not fun. We were lucky enough to go on the one day.
Saturday looked pretty decent too. The weather seemed
Saturday was good. Sunday was not good, but really good. If you haven't been to the show, I highly suggest it. It's a good way, especially if you live in cold climates. It's a great way to get out, and it kind of, for me, has always sped up the rest of the winter because you get back, you have that, I call it California high. Maybe it's just because everybody smokes weed out there. But you have that California high that you're just kind of riding for a couple weeks. And then for us, March comes really quickly and winter's kind of over. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely suggest you should make it. And it was a wrap up.
That's our 2-hour long wrap up video about Grand National.
Yeah. So
if you stuck around to the end, kudos to you. Because you like listening to us ramble like idiots forever.
It was a lot of fun. So. And again, in the comments in the video, if you're watching this, I don't know if they can't comment on
podcasts. No, if you're listening to the podcast, just go to YouTube and say you liked it or you hate it.
Yeah, just tell us if you liked it or hated it. But we might do more of these where if we go to an event or do a random thing, or maybe after, if we get a bunch of questions, we were talking about doing kind of like a Q&A, not Q&A, but like we see a lot of questions and people ask about stuff that doesn't make videos. What's up with the Arden? Where's Kate been? Where's the...
Oh, and if you ask...
What's up with Mike's car?
If you ask enough, we might also do a quick one with Steve.
I think we're going to twist his arm. I think it's going to be really, really awkward because Steve is quite awkward when it comes to being on camera or talking. But maybe we'll get some beers in and see if we can get him to...
loosen up.
Give it the origin story of Steve. I don't even really know the origin story. He's a mystery. Man of mystery. Ooh. But anyways... Thank you guys for listening, watching. If you're on the podcast stuff, definitely subscribe to the podcast. That'd be really cool. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do that. And thanks guys for watching. East Coast rules. We won Amber this year. What? Thanks guys.
We're such losers.
See you later.